since Major Chai Chai brought it up, let's talk a little bit about the LA wildfires. Basically, hell hath come to Hollywood, and it is back with a vengeance. For those of you who have been living under a rock like me and didn't know this was happening, basically there was this huge wildfire. I mean, every year California gets wildfires, but they don't hit the rich neighborhoods in Los Angeles, and this one did. It completely destroyed the Pacific Palisades. It has basically just run roughshod, and because of the governance in California, this fire was mismanaged to the T. They ran out of water. They had inexperienced firefighters and not as much firefighters. The mayor of Los Angeles was in Africa visiting like the first female president of an African country or something like that. Karen Bass, who's also the mayor of Los Angeles, she was also a hair's breadth away from being Joe Biden's vice president pick instead of Kamala Harris. Yes. But basically, there's been like 5 or 6 fires that have just been raging throughout different areas of Southern California. You got the Malibu area and a bunch of other places.
Palisades.
Yeah, Pacific Palisades. I already mentioned that one. But the thing here, though, and by the way, guys, everything that we talk about has links listed in the description if you guys want to go and do your own research. But the big thing here is that no studios have been really hit by this, but they have suspended production for air quality reasons and stuff like that. But I think the bigger question here is going to be all these celebrities and rich people who've lost their homes. Where are they going to relocate to, and how that's going to affect things? And well, I'll start off with you on that, Alex. So basically, Warner Brothers was already building a big studio out here in Las Vegas. They put the brakes on that a little bit because they're switching developers right now. But the idea that Mark Wahlberg is also creating a studio out here in Vegas, it's just production. But now you have people like Adam Carolla, who was based in Los Angeles, and he's like, screw it, I'm coming to Vegas because I'm sick and tired of the DEI woke nonsense that runs this state. But I think that this fire is giving people a lot of reason to now leave. And you're going to see like the biggest tax base California has migrate out of the state to other places. Yep. But Alex, I want to get your take on this. How do you think these fires are going to affect the entertainment industry?
There's definitely going to be delays, especially because a lot of the people that are in these movies, a lot of people that work on the production of these movies are going to be without homes for quite a while. If not, they're just going to completely move out of the state. So it's definitely going to affect things that are in production right now as far as having the support that they need in the production phase of it. But I think a lot, if not all of the movie development is going to probably move over to Vegas. And Vegas is going to be 3 times as big in the next 5 to 10 years. It's going to be freaking insane. I don't know how the infrastructure in Las Vegas is going to support that much of a migration, but we got to get ready for it because it's going to happen no matter what. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy, but it also, seriously, like I don't really want to live in LA 2.0, but that's kind of where we are right now. So it is what it is.
Well, they'll bring their politics with them. That's the thing. It sucks. I made a post. It's like, hey,
all these rich celebrities are going to show up.
All you people in LA, I feel terrible that you've lost everything and your houses burned down. Nobody needs to go through that. That sucks. I feel terrible for some of these people, except for Mark Hamill. Fuck him. But they're going to move over here and they're going to bring their stupid politics with them. And they need to leave it there. They need to understand that your politics are why you didn't have any water to fight these fires. That's why you didn't have any underbrush clearing that would have prevented these fires from burning like they did. It's these policies and things that these people all voted for these people that got into office that cause these issues. And it sucks because even up where I'm from in Oregon, same thing's happening up there. The forests are gonna just burn up because they're not letting Mother Nature do its thing, and it sucks. And Mother Nature is going to come back with a vengeance because they're not treating things like they should. And I don't know, man. As far as the studios here, they're going to come. They're going to get built, and that north part of town up there in Summerlin and everything's going to go crazy. There's going to be a big Las Vegas Hollywood sign up on Red Rocks Mountain over there. It's going to be kind of crazy, I bet, at some point. But
we got to get out of here, man.
We got to get out of here. We got to move to New Mexico or something. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens out of all this for sure.
Well, Brian, one of the big stories to come out of this is the complete incompetence and mismanagement here. But the big thing was like they hired a lesbian fire chief who then made it her priority to hire more LGBTQ plus firefighters, as opposed to people who are actually qualified for it. In fact, there's a commercial out there, a promotional piece for the LA Fire Department by the assistant fire chief, who looks like a dude. She's a big burly lesbian.
Yeah, big burly.
And when somebody asked her how, because she admitted that female firefighters are not as strong as male firefighters, but when someone asked her, well, how are you going to get my husband out of a burning building? She basically answered, well, it's his fault for being in that position in the first place.
Oh my God.
That's real. That's real. She actually said that.
Yeah. Yeah. And so like this is just emblematic of the mismanagement that's been going on there. The mayor also cut the fire department's budget by like 17.5 million. They had all this water that they diverted to the Pacific Ocean as opposed to filling reservoirs.
And they've been doing that for 40 years.
Yep. So Brian, what's your take on that?
Oh my God. We don't have enough
Get all brain on us.
Take.
Yeah.
We don't have enough time for my take, but I'll tell you this. For 40 years, we've been taking almost 80% of our excess water. By the way, I live here. I live in this hellhole. For almost 40 years, almost 80% of our excess water every rain season is dumped into the bay.
It's crazy.
This is not hyperbole. I'm not quoting some 4chan post or a conspiracy theory. This is literally happening. And you know what's been happening for 40 years? I've been told since I was a child that we're in a drought. You know what you don't do in a drought? Throw your water away. It's not rocket science. Oh, you get excess water? Oh, wait. Got to throw it into the bay to protect the fish or make sure there's no brackish water. Whatever your reason is. I know for a fact that the reason, whatever your reason being, it's not as good as fighting fires, having enough water for people to drink.
Brackish water still puts fires out.
Right. And any water puts fires out. Here's the problem. If you dump most of your excess water into the bay, then you don't have it when you need it. But the reason they do it is because they don't think they need it, because they can just buy it from other states like Nevada, via Colorado, et cetera, et cetera. Here's the issue with that. How much of that money is actually going into buying the water? There's so much corruption for water rights and where the water comes from. It's insane. This state is ran by corrupt people, which is why it's better to dump all of our excess water into the bay, claim it's for some environmental thing, and then have all that excess money to play with every year. That's why they do it. On top of this, do you know the LA gave a bunch of their firefighting equipment to Ukraine last year?
Wow.
Oh, God.
Bro, okay, if you lived in a place that was literally known for wildfires, like that is what, like Florida's known for hurricanes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they have hurricanes a lot. Vegas is known for gambling and meth addicts. California is known for homosexuals and wildfires.
That's it.
That's what we're known for. If you are known for that, then you don't give your firefighting equipment to another country. I don't understand how inept these people can possibly be. You are literally known for this problem. You know what's going to happen every year, and yet every time it happens, you act surprised. Oh, it just happened out of nowhere. No, it's an annual thing, dude. It happens every year.
Brian, don't
be surprised right now. This is an annual thing. Maybe we can be more preventative. How about we clean up the underbrush, get rid of dried leaves, stuff that's going to cause firefighters when the Santa Ana winds around 100 miles an hour. I don't think it's rocket science. the federal government has given the state so much money every year just to deal with this problem that seem to be completely impossible of dealing with. We can't do it because it's so corrupt, man.
Well, Brian, have you heard that the reason that they allow these fires and they don't do all the preventative stuff and they're holding the water is because the state needs the federal relief funds from the fires in order to just stay afloat with their budget?
I don't know what the reason. That's a good theory. I don't know what the reason. I cannot tell you what the actual reason would be for dumping all of our excess water into the ocean, except for pure corruption. There's no scientific reason to do this. And I've researched this. I've talked to water specialists. One of my good friends actually works for the water. I can't say the word. It's like the water company for Southern California. It's like the government ran water thing. They run all the water lines. They deal with reservoirs and all that. I've talked to him. I've talked to people on YouTube. I've talked to actual professionals that have studied this for 50 years. And the only reason they can tell you that they're dumping water into the ocean is because they want to control the water rights. They want to control where the water's coming from.
Well, wasn't that like the whole deal with that? Does anybody else see that show from a couple of years back with Billy Bob Thornton called Goliath? Does anybody remember that show? Because wasn't that what that whole base case was about? Was the Big Sur deal and controlling the water rights and all that shit?
It was also the plot of Chinatown.
Yeah, it's the same basic thing. Yeah, it was, but I think that was actually based on the real deal. Was my point. The show Goliath was, I think.
Maybe I don't know. I know my dad has a ranch up in Yosemite. Like he has this little ranch up in Yosemite. It's like his pride and joy. He's worked his entire life to have this little spot. On this ranch, there's a lake. He calls it Diamond Lake because it's shaped like a diamond. He spent an insane amount of time and money and effort to get that lake filled up with water, right? He shored up the sides. He pumped a bunch of his own water in. He made sure the floor had the right amount of clay, everything so he could fill up this lake. After filling this lake up, the state of California came and tried to charge him for having water in his lake. When he asked them why, they said, well, because you can't hold your own water. You have to let it flow down the mountain or whatever. And when he fought up against them, he had to make a deal where they can come and take his water at will, or else he's got to pay all these fines every year. And the crazy thing is, we don't have to be in this position. We get enough water to deal with this. Yeah. We don't have to dump in. We don't have to buy water from other states. If we manage this properly and fill our reservoirs and all that, we'll be fine. But it's all about it's all about corruption, man. And
Brian, when Trump was last in office, he basically laid out how to get more water, how to prevent these forest fires. And Gavin Newsom immediately took him to court, like I think 32 times, to stop all of his efforts to prevent these things and give California more water.
It has to be corruption. There's no other reason for it. It has to be corruption.
But if this isn't the end of Gavin Newsom, then California is completely lost, never to return. And also, Brian, I have one question for you. How's that bullet train coming along?
Oh, fuck these guys. Okay. By the way, I was 15 when Adam Carolla on Loveline. I'm not joking. Talking about Adam Carolla. I'm listening to Adam Carolla and Dr. Drew at midnight on Loveline, right? In my room, and I'm like outside listening to them. My parents won't let me listen to them because they're naughty, right? And I'm listening to Adam Carolla, and he's talking to all these teenagers that have all kinds of weird sexual issues, but he's also ranting about California because that's what he does. He's been ranting about California my entire life. I have listened to Adam Carolla complain about this state, and I remember when I was 15, him going, "Hey, you know what though? They talked about a bullet train." And if we can finally get a bullet train to Vegas, at least to Vegas, that's a good start. And then we can start doing more commerce. And him and Drew had this whole conversation where they were optimistic about it. 2 years later, bullet train's not happening. 2 years later, well, maybe it's going to happen. I literally listened to Adam Carolla on his last show like 2 weeks ago, where he's like, "I'm still waiting for the bullet train." It's been 30 years.
Yeah.
30 years with this
Crazy.
bullet train thing. They're never gonna do it, bro, because it's easier to keep funding something that doesn't actually, they don't have to actually spend money on. Same with the Fed and building all these chargers. All that money for all these chargers, and they're like, hey, maybe in 50 years we'll have 28 chargers. You're like, yeah, but you ordered 500. The whole point is keeping control of the money, dude. It's all corruption. It's all pure corruption.
Well, Tom, I wanted to ask you, how do you think the fallout from these fires is going to affect people? Because I feel like a lot of celebrities that probably supported, Karen Bass and, LGBTQ and DEI and stuff like that have seen the fallout of what's happened here and might change their minds maybe about who they support and who they vote for.
Well, I mean, I guess first of all, we should start with the irony of ironies that, James Woods' house miraculously survived this thing somehow, some way. And if you don't believe in God after that,
yeah, for real,
or karma at least, I don't know. But no, in reality,
everyone else's house is destroyed except for James Woods.
Well, the mayor just put out another quote here, and she says, "We didn't start the fire; it was always burning. Since the world's been turning, we didn't start the fire."
We didn't start the fire.
Anyway, no. As far as Hollywood goes,
go to URL for her.
Yeah, go to URL for the rest of it. God, shit! This whole thing, again, this is the beauty of when you guys get influxed with people from California and they start throwing their politics around. That's where you just get to go, oh, how is your politicking working for you over in fucking California? That's right. Shut the fuck up. Because you're the ones who got yourselves here. They've been trying to twist this in some weird way to fucking blame Trump. And then as soon as somebody else goes, well, no, wait a minute here. The problem is, okay, look, shit happens. We know that. The issue was the response, right? And everybody's giving you a laundry list of problems with the response. And it's only okay to go political if you're trying to blame Trump. But if you turn around and try to blame those folks who are actually responsible for this fucking mess, look at what's happened.
Poor people. Hey, shut up. Yeah, you're completely right. I hate that so much. All these liberals are like, hey, everyone wants to be political right now, but we have to focus on taking care. Hey, you know what? Shut up. This is the only time we can actually point out how inept your goddamn party is.
That's it.
Now, we've been watching over the past few years here how DEI has basically destroyed everything from the film, gaming, music, television industry to the airplane industry. To where, how many years till we find out it's been fucking up the, manufacturing and building industry?
Right.
How long before buildings start falling down? Mm-hmm. And we start driving down the road and our fucking wheels start flying off our cars? That's where we're headed with this shit. And people are just like, yeah, but it's important that people who look like us are, no, fuck you.
Shut up.
That's part of the problem now. Yeah. You have an entire fucking area of California that has been completely just erased off the earth. If that ain't some Sodom and Gomorrah shit, I don't know what the fuck it is.
It looks like a nuclear bomb went off.
Yeah. That's what it looks like. I mean, at this point, look, I've never been an overly religious person. Yeah, I've never been an overly religious person, but in the last year or two here, let me tell you what, I've seen a lot of shit. This made me go, if there ain't a God, well then, karma is a bitch.
Yeah.
Because I have seen the president almost get shot. I mean, he had to turn his head.
Get shot.
Almost killed. Yes, let me rephrase that. Owen, you're correct.
Yeah.
I saw the president get shot and almost killed. Right? And all this other shit that has happened since then.
It's crazy.
It's like I've heard these Bible stories my entire life, I live in a fucking pretty religious area, so I've heard all these stories time and time again. But look, if this isn't karma coming back for collection, I don't know what the hell it is at this point. I'm not trying to sound all like fucking fire and brimstone coming down from the sky, but if there was a fucking bunch of people who asked for this shit, it was them. And the people I feel sorry for, are the people who can't replace their homes right away. The people I feel sorry for who are not going to be able to relocate. The people I feel sorry for are the ones who don't have something to fall back on because they're not a celebrity, who are not out there on CNN and all these other channels getting to complain and say all these things. Those are the people I feel bad for. Do I feel bad for these movie stars who are losing one of their 10 homes?
Yeah.
Fuck no. Because you asked for this shit, you voted for this shit, and let me tell you what, if you move somewhere else like Vegas and start shit like this again, I hope you guys are bright enough and smart enough and stand up and say, no, shut the fuck up. You guys don't know how to run things. Look at what has happened.
But they're not,
You've destroyed
They're not.
the greatest state in the United States.
They're not smart enough. They went to Texas and did the same exact thing. Everywhere they go, they keep bringing their horrible culture and bad ideas with them.
Yep.
That's the way it always is. And they're going to forget in 2026, and they're going to revote that idiot back in office.
I want to throw this to Odin, because Odin, I feel like a lot of people, on the left and people who live in California and stuff like that, they're very much like, where's the compassion? Like, why are people almost celebrating this? Because there's a lot of people out there like, oh, like you're finally getting a taste of your own medicine, in terms of like, you vote for this crap, this is the result. But if we look at the history of 2024, right, you have the Maui fires, where this same thing happened in Hawaii, right? You have East Palestine, Ohio, where you have like a chemical spill that basically destroys an entire town. You have the North Carolina hurricane, where the government came in and gave everyone $750, and they're like, okay, like, good luck. So you have at least 3 examples from the past year where people, all in states that were run by Democrats, right? Where Hawaii was run by a Democrat, the mayor of East Palestine, Democrat, mayor, and I believe governor of North Carolina, Democrat. So you have all these situations where they completely botched the response to a natural disaster or some type of disaster. But the people in California get Biden to say, like, okay, we're going to give you 100% of the money that you need for the next 2 years to rebuild. And all these other states are like, wait, what? And so, like,
because of the Olympics and the smart cities of 2028.
But I think the issue here is that people aren't sympathetic to what's happened in California for the most part, even though like what's happened there is terrible. But people feel like these are the elitists. These are the people who make everything worse for all of us. These are the people who preach to us about how we need to vote, and yet they can't get their own shit together. And only when it directly affects them, like the Martha's Vineyard thing with the immigrants, only when it affects them do they care. And so, like, what do you think is going to be the impact of that?
I mean, it's hard to say, because I try to come at it from a more, a balanced approach. I think that you get what, sometimes you get what you deserve. Actions have consequences, I think, is a big part of this as well. I mean, this is a clear case of mostly inaction, leading to the consequences of this. Because yes, you're correct. The fires were not started by these government officials. They were not started by these elites. However, it was because of their policies that they basically had gasoline, the equivalent of gasoline, on the ground, ready to ignite. And so I think that is a part of it, right? Is that your actions have consequences. But I'm also of the mindset where, as a Catholic, as a Christian, I do not take joy in the loss of anyone's home, anyone's property, or the downfall of anybody, whether they deserve it or not. Obviously, I can have those own thoughts, but I don't really, again, take that joy. As someone, especially who was in New Orleans when Katrina hit, and saw friends of mine get 10 feet of water in their houses, and some of them were on the bit of the wealthier side, and likely were part of the policies that led to our levees not being up to standard, up to code, being 50 years behind, right? A lot of that's because, New Orleans itself has had left-wing politics for a very long time. But I just, having gone through that and seen my friends, having gone through that when I was in high school, that's why I can't personally find joy in the destruction of anyone's property. I understand why people can. I totally get it, because you're right. There are so many things that have happened where people have been ignored for way too long, and it's kind of just this obnoxious thing where these elites will just ignore the regular everyday person, could not care to lift a finger to help any of them. And yet, when, as you mentioned, sometimes in many cases, these are houses where they have many more houses than that. They probably don't have a lot of personal items in those houses either that they cannot easily replace. So there's definitely that perspective. But again, for me, I just cannot find joy, even in the ones that I dislike, even in the ones that I think deserve some type of retribution, Whether this is or not, again, it's not for me to say. It's above my pay grade to make that determination. But at the same time, I do think that actions have consequences. I think that's a big part of what's been going on here.
Well, let's be clear. I'm not even finding any joy in this, and I'm not saying you're saying
it's
I
not,
am.
it's not joy for me either.
What I am saying is this. This has been a systematic breakdown. Yesterday on Midnight's Edge, I missed the show because I was at an appointment, but those guys were just fucking firing on all cylinders. Because Andre compared this to Chernobyl. And that's exactly what this is. This is a systematic failure of a bunch of things that were not handled correctly that led to this disaster. And a lot of it was the response to it. That's the thing that a lot of people are trying to obfuscate or ignore or, well, that's not the issue. The issue is this. No, the issue is you guys are not equipped for this shit. Right? It could have been prevented, but guess what? That's not what we're talking about now. You can talk about all the global warming bullshit all day long. This is caused over the brush not being taken care of properly and all the other things leading up to it. And then the systematic breakdown of not having the proper fire departments, not having the proper people in the places they needed to be and equipped to be there when they needed to be there to stop and contain these fires. Right. And we do this up in Wisconsin. Almost every state has this. Like, I don't understand why a state that is known for this, right? Like they have they are one of the biggest lumber states in the country. Like this should be old hat to them. Mm-hmm. Like I don't even understand how this thing could happen to them, and then they're trying to sit there and play it off like, oh well, this is not what it's really about. It's about global warming and all this other bullshit.
Tom,
it's about
also
climate change and corporations.
It's also a textbook case of how DEI, as opposed to hiring for merit, hiring for identity, and stuff like that, has consequences, right? Because the people who are in charge of the water, the people who are in charge of the fire department, the people who are in charge of the economic or the not economic, but the environmental policies of this region were all put there because of their gender or their race. They weren't put there because of their competence. And they showed the consequences of that. When you have the budget being cut for the fire department by $17.5 million, when you have the fire department resources being shipped over to the Ukraine, when you have lax forest clearing, when you have the woman who got put in charge of the water being paid twice as much as her male predecessor to basically empty the water reserves before these fires happened, like this is all part and parcel of the results of DEI being placed over competence and merit. Like, did you see Karen Bass? Did you see Karen Bass getting cornered when she was like leaving Europe to come back to LA?
Oh, it was glorious.
And she just had to stand there while the reporter just kept badgering her with questions.
You regret your decisions.
Yeah, exactly.
Elon Musk says you're completely incompetent for your position. Care to comment on
why
that?
is a mayor in another country? I don't understand this. Like
she went to Africa to meet with the first female president of Ghana or something like that.
As part of Joe Biden.
Yeah, as part of a DEI photo op. And so like that's why she was over there.
I don't get.
It's all part of the plan, boys. It's all part of the plan.
Do your job. Why are you?
Yeah, and that's why for me, I just from all this, all I can do is to have that hope, that bit of a white pill, right? That hope in all this. I hope this wakes up enough people. It's not going to wake up everybody, and especially not the elites, right? Who are a big part of why this happened. But I'm just hoping and praying that enough people wake up so that actual change can happen, because too many completely innocent people have been impacted by the effects of these decisions.
And Odin, Elon Musk himself said that wait until these rich people who want to rebuild have to start dealing with the Coastal Commission and their permits in order to start rebuilding. He says it's going to take them minimum 7 years to start rebuilding some of these houses.
Did you guys see Mel Gibson on Rogan?
Yeah.
I think my house is burning down. I'm just going to move to Costa Rica. It's like, okay. That's what he said. He's got a place in Costa Rica. I was going to move to Costa Rica.
You going to move with me, sugar tits?
Exactly.